I have it when I turn it. That's so funny.
What's that? You're looking at the wrong guy for the IT department. Maybe you better make sure I don't mess up.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Jeff Rader, President of the Board of Northwest REC. I'd like to welcome everyone to our annual meeting tonight. This is the 25th anniversary of our consolidated cooperative. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. We're excited to just have a great turnout tonight of members in attendance. We also have a number of members joining us through our Facebook Live broadcast. We welcome all of you. If you are joining us virtually this evening on our Facebook Live feed, we would like to invite you to text this number to get registered for our door prizes. 833-692-0554. And please text NWREC 2020 or 2023. And then you should receive a text asking for your text and phone number. Now we'll get you registered for prizes. At this time, I'll call this annual meeting to order and invite Doug Becker, our Vice President of the Board and District 3 Director, to come forward and give the invocation and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Doug?
Thank you, Jeff. Let us bow our heads. Bless the food that we have just received, and Lord, give us wisdom and guidance as we do the business of Northwest REC tonight. And also, Lord, give guidance to our local, state, and national leaders. And Lord, look over and protect our Northwest REC employees, and especially our linemen as they work in all types of weather and late night hours to keep the power on for our homes and businesses, and send them home safely to their families each night. Also, Lord, protect our men and women in our military that keep us safe and free, and not let us forget in this Lenten season that God sent His only Son to die for us to forgive our sins and give us eternal life. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Now stand and we'll say our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Doug. At this time, I'll ask Steve Brown, our Board Secretary and District 3 Director, to come forward and present the notice of the meeting and quorum declaration. Steve?
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, I certify that a notice of the annual meeting to be held on March 28, 2023 was mailed to each member of the cooperative at his or her address as it appears in the records of the cooperative on March 2nd, 2023. I further certify that a quorum has been established with over 10% of the members returning a mail ballot, and that corporate business in the name of Northwest RE's Northwest Rural Electric Cooperative can now be transacted. Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of this report and request that it be filed with the records of this annual meeting.
A motion on the floor, is there a second? Second, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried.
Furthermore, the minutes of the annual meeting held on March 31st, 2022 were included in the annual meeting mailing that was mailed to all members. Mr. Chairman, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve their adoption.
I have a motion, is there support? Support, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Thank you, Steve. The nominating committee met in January, and Brad Harvey from Plymouth County was selected as the chair. Brad, could you please come forward and present the nominating committee report?
The Committee of Nominations of Northwest Rural Electric Cooperative, consisting of 9 members appointed by the Board of Directors of the co-op, duly assembled and met on January 19th, 2023, with the following name present: Barbara Hack, Luke Lango, Jeremy Rower, Keith Wilbert, Brad Harvey, Greg Gripke, and Michael Wagner. Not present were Adam Smith and Mark Van Rokel. That Brad Harvey is chosen chairman of the committee and Luke Lango is chosen the secretary. The committee thereupon declared open for business and duly organized. That is moved as second and unanimously carried that the following be placed in nomination for election of the Board of Directors of the cooperative to be voted on and elected at the annual meeting of the cooperative held on the 28th of March, 2023. District 1, Dave Bozma and Daniel Gradert. District 2, Jeremy Rower and Daniel Van Beek. District 3, Ben Johnson and Shirley Schrader. Mr. Chairman, I move the adoption of this report.
Motion on the floor, is there support? Support, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carried. Thank you, Brad, and all the nominating committees for all your work and dedication. As Brad shared, we have a director election in district, okay, you'd already listed that. Thank you, all these people, for their willingness to serve on the ballot and your support of the cooperative. At this time, I'll declare the director election voting is closed. This time, I'll turn it over to Lyle Korver, our manager.
Thank you, Jeff. I should have put this up earlier. There are the candidates. Quickly scroll through that. All right, and now it's my opportunity to introduce our current board of directors. We have 4 districts. From District 1, which is considered Sioux County, we have our board president, Jeff Rader, and if you could, all the directors stand as I call your name, Steve Abma and Dave Bosma. In District 2, we have Tom Wagner and Chad Dow. District 3, Doug Becker, Steve Brown, Scott Firehelm, and Shirley Schrader. In District 4, Dale Ulrich and Dan Hoffman. I would like to mention that Chad Dow, director from District 2, has elected not to run again for the board of directors. He has served 2 4-year terms. Chad's done a great job serving and representing District 2 and serving on the board of directors. He was quite involved with our building and equipment committee and we're certainly going to miss Chad's contributions to the board. So I know Chad's here. I think he's in the back. Give a wave. Let's thank Chad and all of our directors for their service. I also wanted to recognize our employees. Maybe keep the lights on for just a second here yet. We have a great group of employees. They're not all here tonight, but we have 40 employees in our 4 districts that do a great job of serving the members. Some of them are in the office, some do technology, member services, and of course the line crew that gets to go out and work in lovely winter weather conditions like what we had this year, some ice storms and that type of thing. Dedicated, do a great job, a lot of experience. We also have some young ones that are getting on board. We were teasing the young ones that they better have their speeches ready because they all have to give a speech at the first annual meeting. I don't know how many of them actually believed it. One year we actually had a young man that had it all written up, and he started walking about halfway up, and I said, no, we're really just kidding. So I think they all kind of had it figured out. So, but let's thank our employees for what they do. Thank you. We really like to involve our young people, our youth, in the cooperative movement so that they get an idea of what it's like, and hopefully someday there are going to be members. And so one of our programs is our youth tour program, and this has been going on since the 1960s. Has anybody in the room here been on the youth tour? I know, yeah, Scott has, and we've had a number of kids that have gone. And this last year we had 3 go on the tour. And one of them, Addison Ahrens, is here this evening, and she's going to give us a little report. She lives in Lamars and goes to school at Galen, and she was willing to give us a youth tour report. So, Addison? Oh, and I should have mentioned before I forget, we already have picked our 2 youth tour winners for this year, and I think one is here this evening. Chloe Uptizer, I believe, is here this evening. Chloe, stand up. There she is, right over there. So she's going to get to go on this summer. So, Addison.
Hi, my name is Addison Ahrens, and I'm a senior at Galen Catholic High School here in Lamars. Last summer, I was one of 3 students selected by Northwest REC to represent our area on the Iowa Youth Tour to Washington, D.C. So Iowa Youth Tour is a week-long tour where students learn about electric cooperatives, American history, and U.S. government, and walk away with a greater understanding of their role as an American citizen. My trip was completely paid for by the Northwest REC, and I'm very grateful for their generosity and know it is something I will never forget. I heard about Youth Tour from my neighbor Valeria Uribe, who went on the trip last time it happened in 2019 and spoke very highly of it. So I was super excited that it was being offered again in 2022 after it was paused due to COVID. Northwest REC sponsored 3 students in 2022, myself, my classmate and friend Leah Langel, who is unable to be here with me tonight because she's on a mission trip in Honduras, and Hudson Ullman of O'Brien County. The 3 of us were joined by 31 other students from co-ops across the state of Iowa who traveled to DC. The trip was very well organized and packed with exciting things to do each day. We were even giving matching shirts to wear each day of the trip. In DC, there were groups from states all over the country who participated in Youth Tour put on by the National Rural Electric Cooperative Association. At the conference, we heard from many different speakers about what co-ops do and their effects on our country, and the work being done to bring electricity to third world countries. Our keynote speaker at the conference was Mike Schlappe, a Paralympic medalist who shared his inspiring message about working for change with what we have. We were able to interact with people from all across the country at the hotel and ran into different youth tour groups all around DC. Each state had a special item to share or trade with each other, and so us being from Iowa, ours were cord necklaces, so we'd walk up to people from different states and ask them to trade cord necklaces, and then they had different pins and whatever. I think I collected about 30 different states in the week that we were there. It was just a nice, easy way to be able to talk to new people and learn about different areas of the country. To learn more about how co-ops work, we set up our own snack cooperative while we were in Washington, D.C. Our co-op sold snacks and beverages at slightly reduced prices for us to buy at the hotel with punch cards. We were able to run and choose our board of directors and president to run the co-op for us. There was a $1 membership fee, and at the end, we dissolved the co-op and everyone got their $1 back and even received patronage dividends from the profits. It was a really cool way for us to kind of get a grip on what the co-op does, because most of that is obviously left up to our parents, so I really got a better understanding about what Northwest REC is all about through that. We were able to experience lots of amazing things while we were in Washington, D.C. The first day that we were there, we went to the Air Force Memorial, ate lunch at Ben's Chili Bowl, a historic landmark during the Civil Rights Movement. We had a tour guide who went with us, and we saw Ford's Theater, where Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, the Vietnam War Memorial, where we were able to trace names off the wall, the Einstein Memorial. We saw the World War II Memorial, went and explored the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. We went to the MLK Memorial, FDR Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, and even the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. The next day, we went to Mount Vernon and got to see George Washington's estate and explore his property. And then that afternoon, we went to Arlington National Cemetery, where 4 members of our group were able to lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. It was a very powerful experience and made me truly appreciate all the men and women who have sacrificed so much so that we can enjoy the freedoms we have. That night, we went to a sunset parade at the Marines Memorial, and were even upgraded to VIP seating to watch the parade, which was really cool. Afterwards, we were able to talk to different service members and even shared some of our core necklaces with them. And then that night, we went to the Pentagon 9/11 Memorial as well. The next day, we woke up extremely early to go on a run with Senator Grassley at 4 a.m. It was more of a slow walk, a fast walk, slow jog, but still for someone his age, 2 miles every morning. It's very impressive. And then we went back to the hotel and changed into our red polo and khakis for Capitol Hill Day. We took pictures in front of the White House and then headed to our nation's capital, where we were able to talk with Representative Feenstra and Senators Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley. Then we got a tour of the inside of the Capitol and explored some more memorials in DC. We went to the Americans Disabled for Life Memorial, the World War I Memorial, Law Enforcement Officers Memorial, the Dwight D. Eisenhower Memorial, and the International Spy Museum, which was a fun, interactive experience. And for our final day in DC, we went to the National Cathedral, and then were able to go to the top of the Washington Monument and look over all of DC, see lots of cool views. One side you could see out the White House, the Thomas Jefferson Memorial, the Capitol, and it was just very powerful to see kind of our country's history all right in front of us. Then we explored the National Mall, going to some of the Smithsonian's, including the American History Museum. We went to the National Archives, and the last thing we did was the Holocaust Memorial Museum, which was probably my favorite monument or museum that we went to, just because it was so powerful. The trip was full of amazing and incredible experiences that I am extremely grateful for. I recommend this trip to everybody I know who is eligible to apply, and will continue to do so because I know that it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Thank you to Northwest REC and all of you here who support this wonderful program.
Thank you, Addison. And I think I may have forgotten to mention your parents, Jeff and Jacqueline Aarons. And I'm pretty sure they're here with your little brother and sister. So thanks, Mom and Dad and family, for being here. You can be proud. Really good report. Appreciate that. And Chloe, you'll have something to look forward to next year. And it's good to hear that Senator Grassley slowed down a little bit. Maybe the next time I go out there, if he's got a little slower pace, maybe I'll be able to keep up with him too then. So. Another important program that we have for our youth is our scholarship program. And we really ramped it up about 3 years ago. And I think last year was over $30,000 in scholarships. And this year was very similar to that. Renee Winia, our executive assistant, is going to come forward. She helps run the program, does a great job. So Renee.
As Lyle said, we have a great participation in our scholarship program, and to be eligible, students have to be dependents of Northwest REC members. They must be a senior in high school for the 2022-23 school year and planning to enroll in a college, university, or vocational technical school. This year, we received over 70 applications, and the scholarship committee reviews the applications and selects 2 $1,000 scholarship winners from each district. And those winners are from District 1 or Sioux County, Ella Vanderstouw and Ava Nykamp. From District 2 or O'Brien County, Hudson Ullman and Carly Visser. From District 3 or Plymouth County, Leah Langle and Allison Ranking. And from District 4, Ida County, Ruth Clark and Trayton Kohler. The remaining scholarship applicants will receive either a $500 or $250 scholarship. In addition, we have a Powerline scholarship program for students enrolled and accepted in the Powerline program at NCC. And this year we have awarded 3 students a $1,000 Powerline scholarship. And those students are Maya Fleckstein, Ethan Hubner, and Levi Russ. When all of the scholarship honors were given, the total amount of scholarship dollars awarded this year will total $32,000. We are excited about the continued interest in our scholarship program, and we want to thank all the students who took the time to complete and submit a scholarship application form this year.
Thank you, Renee. Also want to congratulate all those scholarship winners. That's pretty amazing. Next up on the agenda is our treasury report. I'd like Tom Wagner from District 2 to come forward to present this report.
I did this last year, forgot my glasses, so I can barely read that little TV screen down there. I'll look up here, I can read this better. I'm Tom Wagner. I'm from over by, I live by Primgar. I'm the treasurer on the Northwest REC board. This is financial report. I'm glad to say that our co-op, your co-op, is in very good financial shape. Last year in 2022, we had 50 total margins. I guess that's a value. I don't think if you put Mid-America's profit up there, that their margin would be that skimpy on their total revenue. So that's a value of being a member of a co-op. Balance sheet is very strong, $131 million in assets. That grew by $8.7 million over last year of 2022. Member equity of $63.2 million. And also in addition to that, we have a $9.6 million in our margin stabilization fund. We've talked about that a lot in the past. It's kind of our shock absorber in the co-op to cushion rate impacts from if we have a rate increase, we can put off from our power supplier, we can put off a rate increase to the membership a little longer with that margin. Then when we have good years, we can put that in there. It's kind of a, like I said, kind of a shock absorber for the co-op. We also, another part of being a member of a co-op and how co-ops work is patronage retirement or returning patronage capital to the members. Traditionally, we've always done the oldest patronage comes out in a given year. That's first in, first out. The last 2 years, or 3 years, Jeff? The last 3 years, we started doing a little bit of what they call last in, first out. Again, we're trying to show the value of being a co-op member to some of our newer members. And with this, basically you get patronage for the year you did business or 1 year after you do business. So we're trying to add value or show the value to some of our younger members that don't always necessarily move on the line and don't necessarily understand what a co-op is. But I think that's a big part of it, is the value we return to membership. Along with that patronage retirement, we also had that $2.3 million that we were returning through the PCA. So we returned a total of $4.3 million in cash to Northwest REC memberships. And that value comes a lot from the three-tiered co-op system we're part of. We're local, we're part of NIPCO, and we're part of Basin Electric. And they really do work well together. If Basin does well, they return value to members, and NIPCO turns around and does that to Northwest, and we turn around and do that to you, the members. So with that, that's the financial report. I guess I would take any questions or grab somebody after the meeting, and they can grab Lyle. He'll have a better answer than me, maybe. But anyway, thank you.
Is there a motion on the floor, take that as a motion on the floor to approve the treasurer's report? Is there support for that? Seeing support, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. 2023, the 25th anniversary since our consolidation of Northwest REC that went into effect on January 1st, 1998. Lyle Korver will come forward at this time to share a few comments about the 25th anniversary and make some introductions. Lyle?
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, it's hard to believe that it has been 25 years. We actually had a first consolidation of Sioux and O'Brien County in 1993, and then just a couple years after that, we started having some discussions, Plymouth and Ida and Northwest, and so now we have a consolidated group of 4 cooperatives that have formed Northwest REC, and time flies. I think it's been a very successful organization. Just one example of some of the growth we've seen is that we have seen our assets grow to 131 million from, I think they were 13 million at that time. Our total sales have grown from 200 million to 700 million, over a 200% increase. But we've actually reduced our number of employees with all that growth from 50 to 40. And that was some of the efficiencies that we've gained and the use of technology and that type of thing. We do have a few of our former directors that are here that have been part of that. One of them is Bill Wagner. I know Mr. Wagner is here, if you could stand. Alan Lucan from Plymouth County. Bill's from O'Brien. We have Gerald Clemmy from Plymouth County. Kenny Mace. I believe, are the 4 former directors. Am I missing anybody? Let's thank them. They were very involved with the whole process and did a great job. Appreciate their leadership to bring that forward to the members. We also have a couple of former employees that were really involved at that time. Darwin Dirks was actually the general manager of Plymouth Electric before we consolidated. Darwin is here somewhere. Donna? Darwin, thanks for being here, and thanks for all the contributions you made to the organization. And then Verdell Buss was our longtime financial officer and was down at Ida County and then moved into the organization, consolidated, and did a great job with our finances. So let's thank them for being here as well. And before I forget, we do have a guest here from our state association, and our neighbor into Cherokee County, Bruce Amundsen, is here, I believe. Thanks for being here, Bruce. So we've prepared Emily has prepared a really nice short 3-minute video that highlights some of the changes that we've seen in the last 25 years. Here we go. Lights, please.
Together. 25 years of charging forward together. Northwest REC. On January 1, 1998, the consolidation of Ida County REC, O'Brien County REC, Plymouth Electric Cooperative, and Sioux Electric Cooperative went into effect to form Northwest REC. Over the last 25 years, many things have changed, including the types and sizes of electric loads we serve. In 1998, our largest electric load was approximately 700 kilowatts. Today, our largest loads are the 4 ethanol plants we serve, and the largest load is 10,000 kilowatts. In 1998, 96% of our kilowatt-hour sales were for farm and residential loads, while 4% were to commercial, industrial, and value-added agricultural loads. 25 years later, farm and residential sales account for 44% of total sales, while commercial, industrial, and value-added agricultural sales are 56%. The diversity of our electric load has also changed significantly in the last 25 years. Through our economic development efforts and the impacts of a progressive and agricultural economy, our total kilowatt-hour sales have increased 200% since 1998. The following is an illustration of how Northwest REC has grown to serve our members better in the last 25 years. Number of services, 8,300 in 1998 to over 10,200 today. Miles of line have increased from 3,500 to over 3,700. We had 24 substations in 1998, and by the end of this year, we will have 34 substations. Kilowatt-hour sales were 210 million in 1998 to 692 million this year. Total assets, 35 million now to 131 million. Total annual revenues have increased from 13 million in 1998 to 51 million in 2022. The makeup of our power supply mix has also changed significantly in the last 25 years. We continue to use technology to serve our members more efficiently. Many things have changed in the last 25 years. However, our core mission has remained the same. Safety remains our #1 priority. Maintaining reliable electric service is also a very high priority, even while we deal with some challenging weather conditions. Maintaining competitive and affordable electric rates for our members is another high priority. We know that things will continue to change, and we will face ongoing challenges. But our commitment to serving our members will remain as strong as ever. Working together, we remain confident that we can continue to fill our mission, inspired by our past, powering our members' future. Northwest REC.
and Bill Wagner, and Wagner was on my mind, so lots of Wagners here. So anyway, we're going to have just kind of discussion. We sent out with your mailing, members had the opportunity to return questions, topics that they wanted to have us talk about. So that's what we've assigned or come up with our questions on. We've already talked a little bit about the consolidation, but I'm going to throw this one to Jeff here at first. About the consolidation, and maybe what are some of the, the projected benefits? Have we recognized those and savings? How have we done? Has it worked out for us?
Trying to do 4 mics in an old auditorium doesn't always work. But yeah, we had hopes of saving over $3.3 million when the consolidation took place over a 10-year period. We far exceeded that, some of the results, because we could downsize labor through our efficiencies and technologies. We reduced the number of directors, saving the cooperative some money, and also there's only 1 audit a year, 1 set of legal counsel, less insurance, and a lot of savings, and you could buy a lot of stuff in bulk. Another important benefit is line construction. We can bring 3 or 4 crews together, and a line outage, a lot of times a storm will hit one corner of our service territory, so we can bring all 2 or 3 line crews to one area and restore it so much quicker. You know, having the cooperative, everyone knows how our system works instead of bringing in outsiders and explain how everything works. It makes our cooperative very efficient and gets our reliability where it needs to be.
Yeah, a few other things that we've seen, and you've already seen, so we won't repeat this, but just substantial growth, and as Jeff says, we've really gained a lot of efficiencies through that. One thing that hasn't changed is our mission, and we put that up there too. That will not change. It's going to be on safety, efficiently providing reliable service, and keeping rates affordable. That's what it's been since 1938. That's what it was 25 years ago when we consolidated, and that's what it's going to be for a long time. So thank you, Jeff. Matt Wagner. That's got a ring. Yeah. We've had quite a few questions about reliability, and of course that's part of our mission statement. But with our 3-tiered power supply that we have, and I think that was referenced earlier by Tom, reliability obviously is, we need to look at it both at the distribution, transmission, and generation. Can you tell us what some things NIPCO has done on the transmission side of it?
Sure. Can you guys hear me on this one? Is that coming through okay? Okay. Hi, at NIPCO, thanks for the invite to come. I think all of you guys know NIPCO Corner, where we're located just south of town here. Proud to be a part of the Northwest REC group. And much like the rest of the cooperatives, yeah, that's working really good. How's that? Is that better? If anybody's seen me at a Lamar's Bulldog game, I can't believe they're giving me a microphone. But no, we have had a tremendous amount of renewal replacement on the NIPCO system, and the NIPCO system is a 69 kilovolt system that spans across the 12 counties in western Iowa. It all started with us back in 2013. We received at NIPCO a hazard mitigation, FEMA hazard mitigation grant, and we were able to rebuild 1/6 of our system. And it was time. Our original system, we have original grid out there. Back in the early 50s, we had original grid out there, and it was time to replace that. I love it when Lyle always talks about the word reliability, because that's what it comes down to. Currently, right now, as we sit today in 2023, approximately 2/3 of our grid in the NIPCO service territory has been renewed, replaced. When we renew and replace it, we actually are building with new specs. So if our line goes through your property, you know that we have been reaching out to you and been providing more pole placement easement payments to you, because we're actually putting the spans closer together, and we're using a heavier conductor. And knock on wood, any storm, could knock us down, but we have seen real tangible benefits to this on reliability. We've had a tremendous amount of, as we all know, we've had a lot of pretty gnarly blizzards over the last couple of winters, and knock on wood, The new construction really has been, it's storm hardened and it's really come through with flying colors. The damage that we have taken, almost 100% of it is our old line. And I'm looking out there because I can see the VP of Engineering and Operations of NIPCO looking at me. So J.D. Huber's out there, and he has a lot to do with that out there as a member of Northwest REC. He does a great job. So, but reliability, we don't forget that. And then all of this renewal and replacement is in that name to make sure that we keep the lights on for you.
So is Jamie that guy that comes to every board meeting and has all these big projects that we have to spend money on? Is that the guy?
I don't speak for him.
All right. Tom, how about Basin on the generation side of it? You know, there's some older coal plants, a lot of new construction, but what has Basin done to make sure that they can maintain reliability?
That's a lot like NIPCO. Basin was formed in 1963. So they have stuff out there, substations line that's been out there a long time. They have power stations. The first power station, generation station they built in 1963 was Leland Old Station, and that is still in service today. It's, you know, they take pride in having those plants run a long time. They take pride in them being highly efficient and reliable. So a lot like at NIPCO, Basin's footprints, you know, a 9-state area has transmission throughout that. So they've been renewing substations, they've been renewing power lines, and the fleet of generation, they've added new gas-fired generation, wind. It's intermittent, but it is reliable when the wind blows. They want to make sure that those wind turbines are in good shape. And the coal fleet, the 5 coal plants that we have, actually 4 coal stations we have, they do a very good job of keeping those well-maintained and reliable.
Thank you, Tom. And then Jeff, on the distribution side, we have you guys playing musical chairs over there.
Dancing.
You guys are the only ones getting exercise. We might have to have everybody stand up pretty soon. How about on the distribution side?
Our strategic plan we adopted several years ago was we had the same thing. We needed to upgrade our lines. Our electric rates are really reasonable. So we thought, well, our rates are reasonable. We need to start putting some extra effort into getting our lines updated. Our goal was to try to get a few more lines underground. At the time, we bought a plow. And we can plow, at the time, I know inflation's got worse, but at the time, we could plow our own underground in just as reasonable as it was to put overhead in. So it was a big, single phase. 3-phase, we usually use a contractor to come in because they can do it a lot bigger, they got the heavier equipment. And we've been making a lot of progress. Slide coming up tells us how far we are.
Yeah, I didn't get that slide in there, but we're up to 26% underground, 74% overhead at this time. When we started the strategic discussions about 7 or 8 years ago, we were like about 16%. So our goal was 30% by 2030, and we will far surpass that 30% of underground by 2030. Will we ever get to 100% underground? No, because we're still building overhead line where it makes sense. And actually on the 3-phase now, with some of these supply chain costs, the 3-phase has gotten to where it's more expensive, but there's still quite a bit of difference between 3-phase and overhead. On the single phase, it's somewhat comparable, but we're going to keep plugging away at converting more to underground, but we'll always have overhead, but we're shortening up the span lengths on that and keeping that reliable as well. So we will go over 1,000 miles of underground by the end of this year. So now we're going to talk about the fun topic of zero carbon future. Everybody, we're hearing that in the news all the time. And so we're going to start with Tom and find out how we're going to be able to generate all the electricity we need without any coal plants. Is that doable, Tom?
Sure. Why not? Our great neighbors to the north, Minnesota, they did pass a law this winter, their legislation to have zero carbon emissions by 2040. Now they It can probably be done through renewable credits, basically offsetting carbon emission by buying a credit from somebody that's producing that credit. So, but it's pretty difficult to go from where we're at right now to a zero. And we've always been proponents of all the above. Technology will give us time. Maybe we can get there with coal. The natural gas that Basin has been building in the last 20 years is less carbon intensive as coal. As you can see this chart here, back in 2000. In 2000, okay, it says 20.
That's 2020.
Got me. But anyway, that was our generation mix. Basically half hydro, half coal with just a little bit of oil generation. Fast forward to today, it looks much different. It's a mix of hydro, wind, waste heat recovery. Then a big deal is buying off the market. There's a lot of wind generation out there that the Basin buys. They don't own the actual wind farm, but they buy the output of that wind farm, so that's a lower carbon. Like I said, the gas generation. And with this mix, just how it is, we are less carbon intensive, I guess, at Basin Electric. The blue part is coal. We actually have a little more coal generation today than we did in 2000. We added a coal plant in 2011. The last coal plant that was added in this country, period, was in 2011, and Basin Electric built that plant. So we haven't changed our mix. We've just grown in, or we've changed the mix by growing into new generation. So we have the same amount of hydro, the same amount of coal generation, actually a little more. We just have diversified and grown that quite a bit. Back to that coal-fired plant out in Wyoming that was the last one built. There is a project going on there funded by Wyoming. It's on Basin's power plant. University of Wyoming, I can't think of who else is in it, but they're basically trying to capture CO2 off that coal plant and either find a use for it or sequester it into the ground. And there's geological formations out there. If they can capture it, they'll be able to put it in the ground, back in the ground. So I think in the past we've had emission problems with nitric oxide, easy for me to say, sulfur, that type of thing. We've always found solutions. In time, we found solutions to make those coal plants be clean. I think in time, we will make those coal plants be able to capture CO2 and give a long life to those coal plants. There's other questions like what about nuclear, that type of thing, which would be zero emissions, but our country over the last 20 years has kind of moved away from nuclear. There's some new technology in nuclear that maybe will be able to roll out a little more efficiently, but it will be expensive. So I think down the road, Basin will look at a coal plant and go, okay, it's going to cost X amount of dollars to put carbon capture on that, or X amount of dollars to build a new nuclear facility. And if those are about the same, we'll probably choose to put carbon capture on a coal facility that we know how to run, has some less political problems, I suppose, than a nuclear plant. So I think with technology and time, we'll be able to lower the amount of carbon that we emit.
Thank you. And then Matt, NIPCO has moved into the Southwest Power Pool as Basin. It's been a good thing. But we hear every summer, going into every summer and every winter, there could be rolling blackouts, building a lot of wind. What is the concern going into summer, or what are some issues with SPP trying to move towards this carbon-free scenario?
Sure, I think what Lyle's referring to is, it's called NERC, and anybody who watches KTIV, KCDU, KMEG in Western Iowa, last spring and last fall, we've gotten the most media attention I think we've ever gotten in the history of NIPCO, because NERC, which stands for North American Electric Reliability Corporation, they came out with their resource assessment for the nation, and causes a lot of uproar with the media when they say, okay, we're part of SPP, and last fall they said, hey, I got to go back to last spring. In the summer, SPP doesn't have enough resources to potentially serve its load under extreme circumstances. And what's an extreme circumstance? An extreme circumstance is if a large coal-fired facility or a large generating facility were to go down unplanned. If there was, so let's say there's a tremendous amount of tornado damage due to a 345 kV line that is unplanned, that would put some stress on the grid. But my message to you all as members of Northwest REC and Basin and NIPCO, we have enough power to serve under normal conditions. And so we go out of our way to make sure that that message is heard by the media. The media tends to grab the low-hanging fruit and maybe doesn't tell the whole story. So I want to make sure that you're assured as members of your co-op that we do have enough resources to serve during the summer peak and the winter peak. Now, what is SPP doing? This map that's come up here, I think you saw that last a couple years ago, even when we were up at Sioux Center for the annual meeting. That is the map. In the red there, what you're looking at is that is the service footprint for Southwest Power Pool. And you all know where we live there in western Iowa. That map represents back on February of 2021, Winter Storm Uri. The dark blue is where it got below zero. And not a problem for us, right? But down in Texas and Oklahoma, big problem. And remember all the pictures we saw of frozen, people had their dishes in the sink and the water is frozen, and it caused a lot of problems down there. Since that time, we're coming up, or we have the 2-year anniversary of it, there have been a tremendous amount of changes in SPP operations, and then that has trickled down to WAPA, which that is our Western Area Power, the dams. That's where they are our transmission operator for Western Iowa. That has trickled down to them. We have worked closely with the member cooperatives of NIPCO, Northwest REC being one of those, so that if and when this happens again, where we have this unusual event, and there is something that's out of our control that we potentially have to curtail energy, then we are going to do it in a manner that has the least amount of effect to the end consumers. And we have a plan that's approved by Northwest REC and the other 6 members of NIPCO. So since that time, tremendous amount of changes at SPP. It sounds like I'm doom and gloom when it comes to SPP. Don't take my comments the wrong way. This has been a tremendous benefit for us at NIPCO and Northwest REC of being a member of this national grid, both financially and operationally. This has been a huge improvement for us to be able to provide a reliable electric delivery to your farms and businesses.
Thank you, Matt. Now we're going to go on to a very non-controversial topic having to do with CO2 pipelines, carbon capture, those kinds of things. Debated on whether we should go there, but there were some questions from members. And so, Jeff, you get this one. Related to this carbon-free push about the carbon CO2 pipelines and how they might impact Northwest REC. We serve 4 ethanol plants. And obviously they're involved with this. They're the primary reason why they're doing this. They account for 30% of our total sales. Could you talk a little bit about what position we've taken relating to this and how it could impact us?
Well, we've taken kind of a neutral position. We talked to the pipelines. If they want to put a piping station in at one of the ethanol plants, they have to pay for all the costs. So we're not hung out to dry in case this is a 1 or 2 year deal. All the ethanol plants are for it, trying to lower their CI scores so they can market their ethanol at a higher cost in the future. We know how eminent domain could be an issue, so we're trying to not be pro, not to be against it, but if a member needs service, we'll provide the service for them.
Thank you. With the pandemic, we've all heard about supply chain challenges. It's taking longer to get things, and it's really impacted us. Transformers that we used to be able to get in 12 to 16 weeks, maybe 24 weeks, some of those now have over 100-week lead time. We're talking over 2 years for some of our transformers. So we have to order and have more inventory than what we typically would have to be able to handle the new services. Underground cable has gone up over 100%. We were buying underground cable at $2, around $2.20 a foot. That has gone up to $4.65 a foot. A basket truck that we used to, just ahead of the pandemic, we probably were paying $285,000 for, is now $365,000. And oh, by the way, we have to order it about 4 or 5 years in advance. We used to be able to get them in a year, and then it went to 2 years. I mean, it's just crazy. So we are seeing some significant supply chain issues on our side also. And we'll talk a little bit later about, even with that, we've still been able to maintain stable rates. So we've had to spend quite a bit of money, multi-million dollar, like this year our capital outlay budget's about $6 million. So we don't want to raise your rates, so we can finance that out of general funds, so we borrow. Obviously, borrowing costs have gone up quite a bit, but we're very fortunate that we've been able to take advantage of lower cost interest rates in recent years. Jeff serves on our national cooperative financing board that we borrow 100% of our financing from, and he's one of the 23 directors around the country that serve on that, and has the opportunity to keep us well informed. And Jeff, you can tell us about the good story about our interest rates have actually trended down the last 20 years.
Yeah, when we originally got on board, we did a laddering effect. We would, when we had to take loans out, you could always take out 30-year loans, but you could price it for 5 years, 7 years, 3 years. So we tried to ladder it because the rates we thought were hopefully eventually would go down. Recently, when the rates did go way down, we termed out almost all our loans we could to 30-year loans, and obviously that lowered our power cost. Everybody was kind of curious or heard different costs with these banks going down. Is REC still able to borrow money when they need to? Well, CFC is a low risk organization. We always match loans, short-term loans to short-term borrowings. So we're able to go to the market and have a lot of investors that will invest with the cooperative because they like the cooperative model. We got a guaranteed service territory. We set our own rates. It's a lot easier to cash flow. So we can get very low interest from the market, and we return that to our members. Our CFC is up to a $32 billion company right now. And as our margins we just keep lowering our margins because it goes back to the membership. We don't try to make more than we need to make it efficient for all the RECs.
One of the great things about CFC is they're a cooperative, just like Basin Electric, NIPCO cooperative. So they're not trying to maximize profits, they're trying to keep costs down. We get patronage back from them. It's a really good thing. Rates, electric rates. So, with all this increased cost to buy materials and things like that, we had a number of very complimentary comments about our ability to keep our rates stable. We've had, May will be 8 years of rate stability, and we're really proud of that. So, Tom, can you tell us about Basin Electric and what their 10-year forecast might look like? Is it good, or?
I think so. Basically we had, prior to Lyle said 8 years. There was about a 6-year period there, 7-year period where we did raise rates. But prior to that, we had 25 years of unchanged rates for Northwest REC. And that was a similar picture for Basin Electric. They had a number of years of stable rates. They weren't building anything. They were actually overbuilt generation. So they were looking for ways to sell more electricity. So when you do that, you don't raise rates, you lower rates, so more people want to buy it. So we went through a number of years where the rates were stable. Basin started seeing a lot of growth in the mid-2000s to the mid-2010s and continuing. But during that expansion period, Basin had to add resources, so they had to raise rates, and that kind of trickled down to NIPCO and then back to Northwest IREC and the members. We didn't see a big rate impact here for membership, but we did see some increases. The last increase from Basin Electric was in 2016. I wasn't a director at that time, so it wasn't my fault. But since then, I've been a director, and we have had no rate increases. So,
good job.
Yeah, thanks. That's all on me. But we set a rate at that time that was sustainable. The projection, and that's been now 6 years, and have not changed. We actually had a decrease in the rate this last year, and we credited, bill credited back to the members this past couple of years. So the rate forecast for Basin is a flat rate year in the 10-year forecast. Now, inflationary pressures and all the things going on, who knows, but that's with the forecast right now.
You heard that, flat Basin 10 years, so we'll hold you to it. So Basin's a key part of the generation side, and 80 cents out of every dollar that we spend goes to NIPCO to cover the NIPCO costs and the Basin costs. So Basin's not all of our wholesale power. They're flat for 10 years. Matt, are you guys flat for 10 years? You knew that was coming, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
All right. What about NIPCO?
NIPCO, same story as what you've heard from Lyle, Northwest REC, Tom up at Basin. We are projecting flat rates. We do have pressure on our rate, a little bit of pressure on our rates for a couple of reasons, and they've been alluded to today. Lyle talked about the cost of materials. NIPCO has the same thing. If you remember, I told you earlier, we have replaced 2/3 of our transmission line and 2/3 of our substations. We have 85 substations across western Iowa. We had started that process in 2014. Our last significant rate increase at NIPCO was 2017. So we're on a nice stretch here. Our rate oscillates because we are the middleman. We are between the generator and you, the member owner that is using the power. We want to make sure that we're as skinny as we possibly can be. So our rate has oscillated a little bit, but actually if you look at our rates for 2023 that we're charging our members at Northwest REC, it's actually the same as it was in 2017. So very good story to tell. We have, for the same reasons Lyle talked about Northwest REC, we have fewer employees than we've had in the past. And I'm really proud of our NIPCO team for coming through this. And again, 2/3 of our system has been rebuilt and no increases to our members. That's a real a story that we're real proud of. What's the pressure on the horizon though? As I told you, we get 20% of our power at Basin from Western Area Power, the dams. There are 6 dams on the river. The closest one being Gavin's Point over there at Yankton. As you know, we're going into year 4 of the drought. And this year, 2023, we did have a drought adder that WAPA is charging NIPCO. And what's a drought adder for? When there's not enough water in the system, we're one of many customers that buy power from the federal government. They are responsible to provide us a block of power. Well, when the dams don't run with enough water, they don't generate enough electricity, they have to go out onto the open market to fulfill their contracts to us, the customers. So when they get into drought times, they got to spend more money on that purchase power and wheeling. Now, we're into year 4 of the drought, it starts to compound. And the last time we had this was in the aughts. I don't know, is that what you call that decade? Back in the aughts, we had kind of sound like an old timer when I say that. Back in the aughts, we had a 9-year extended drought. I know you guys are all familiar with it, being farming. We're in year 4 of the drought now. I always get a lot of questions. Man, I know there's a lot of snow up in South Dakota. I know there's a lot of snow up in North Dakota. Is that going to recharge the river? We get updated once a month from the Corps of Engineers, and right now, as we sit today, they're at 115% of normal snowpack above Fort Peck, which is up in Montana. If you go below Fort Peck to Garrison in North Dakota, they're at 110% snowpack. So that's good news. It's not going to fix us though. That's basically just going to recharge the ponds and the lakes and the streams we all know, right? I play golf out here at Willow Creek, and the last 2 years there's been no water coming down Willow Creek. Well, there's a little bit of water coming down now because we're recharging. But between now and beginning of the summer, that's when we really need a shot of rain or some real heavy snows out in the mountain. If that happens, the drought adder will phase away. It's not something that's permanent, but we've already gotten indications from WAPA that they're probably going to go after another drought adder because again, this is it's kind of like a slow motion train wreck, and so it compounds on itself. So that's one pressure that we have going forward. But outside of that, to answer Lyle's question, because I know 80 cents of every dollar goes to NIPCO, flat rates are forecasted going forward.
All right, sounds good. We're going to have one more topic, and that is electric vehicles. We had a whole bunch of other topics, and we aren't going to have time. My wife is giving me the signal. Oh no! But we'll save some topics for later. But we are going to talk about electric vehicles, and so we all hear about that's what General Motors and Ford and all these companies are going to make, right? And so can we handle that on the electric grid? And to just give you an idea, so if we have a Chevy Bolt, mid-sized vehicle that's about a 7 kW, Let's get a half-ton Ford F-150 Lightning. And we want the little bigger battery pack. Now we're 20 kW, plus your 7 kW. You got 27 kW charging in the garage. A typical house probably averages 7 to 10 kW. And all of a sudden you're gonna add 27 kW to that. So you're gonna call your electrician and make sure that your entrance panel is okay. Hopefully you call us, and we're gonna probably have to come and put in a bigger transformer. And we're gonna get enough of these, and we're gonna probably have to rebuild that circuit to the substation, and then we're gonna call NIPCO and say, hey, we're getting all this load, and NIPCO's gonna upgrade the sub. And then Basin is probably gonna have to build some new generation, right? So if it all goes as fast as what they say it will, we probably have some challenges, along with people saying, well, maybe we should take some coal plants offline and do intermittent wind and solar and things like that. It doesn't all work. Tom, you wanna comment about that and the electric vehicles and how well, you know, is it realistic? Is Basin talking about it? Do you think it's real up there? And what's Basin gonna do?
I think everybody is talking about it, and most co-ops have, you know, a lot of co-ops have purchased some kind of an electric vehicle. More out of, I think it's our job to find out how these things work before you, the member, is a guinea pig and goes out and buys one. Obviously, with the push from the big three car manufacturers in this country and foreign manufacturers, they are coming, you know, there will be more. I just don't think they can be every place, everywhere. But it's on, you know, that's when we do load forecasts at Basin, they're definitely part of that mix of potential growth that, you know, you have to take that into account because you can't be caught off guard even if it's half as many electric cars that they say we're going to be having in the next 15 years, it's still a lot of a generation and transmission that needs to be built for that.
And don't get me wrong, we'll take the load, sales are good, and if we can keep it off peak, which we do have an off peak right now, that will be good, but long term is just something that we all need to think about, is this gonna work? And Jeff, maybe one final piece on the all of the above. Obviously ethanol is very important to us. We also are fine with, you know, we're prepared to serve the electric too, but can you just comment about the all of the above position we're taking?
Yeah, we definitely don't want to pick sides with 4 ethanol plants. We think ideally is if they'd have an E85 hybrid, then it would be just burning ethanol and electricity. That would be ideal, but they don't want to push that. That's apparently not green enough. The other struggle I have with the people that all think they're going to be green, we want them to charge at night, so that's all coal electricity, but that's the cheapest for us. If they different ones talk about having charging during solar, have solar charging, well, that means when you go to work, you're gonna have to plug in and charge because the sun shines when you're at work, not at night when you're home. So it's a challenge all the way around, but we're hoping to keep the ethanol plants going. That's definitely a better fuel for the economy, and we hope the EVs come at a slower rate. We think in the rural area, it works for a commuter car, but not people want to go on vacation and take an extra 3 hours every day and try to figure out where they're going to stop just to charge their car.
Matt, you want to weigh in 30 seconds, closing comments?
30 seconds, I agree. I think from NIPCO's standpoint, we're working closely with all of our member cooperatives on the plan going forward. And right now, we are not focusing on the public-facing chargers. We're focusing on our members. And I agree with Jeff. The daily commuter is probably where it's going to be the first adaptation of it, where people can get back to their garage and charge. And so we've got policies and programs to help incent that, because the number one thing, the biggest challenge I see is keeping those chargers off of the peak. If we're adding charging EVs to the summer peak, to the winter peak, that's when we're going to be doing all of this upgrade to the grid, and we want to avoid that. So a daily commuter, I think that'll be our first application. And Northwest REC's got programs if you're looking to put a charger in your garage. And again, it's part of our Switch Makes Sense load management that we're using our electricity wisely.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
And one comment we thought at our board meeting, F-150, if you charge it on peak and we don't charge you the peak rate, it's costing the cooperative $150 a month for having someone charge their vehicle on peak if we don't make them charge. So definitely we have to get them off peak or it's not gonna work for the system.
Absolutely. Okay, that is going to conclude our panel. I know we didn't get to all the topics. I hope we hit on some of the key ones that you might have gained some new information on. Hope we didn't bore you to death. I do appreciate Tom and Jeff and Matt participating. Thanks to our team. And we had just a ton of people that didn't have questions, but nice comments, and we really appreciate that. So I'm going to turn it back over to Jeff, and we'll wrap up the meeting.
Yeah, thank you, and hope you learned a lot of things, and if you do have other questions, a bunch of us will be here afterwards. The final order of business. I'd like to invite the Inspector of Elections report. Brad Harvey's the chair, and invite him to come forward and present the report of the elections. Brad.
The next item of business is the ratification of the director elections that took place in Districts 1, 2, and 3 this year. The Inspectors Election Committee has certified the election process, and the following members have been duly elected as directors for the 4-year terms. District 1, David Bozma. District 2, Daniel Van Beek. And District 3, Shirley Schrader. Mr. Chairman, I move the ratification of the 2023 director election results.
Thank you, Brad. I'd also like to thank everyone the members that were willing to put their name up for the ballot. We appreciate them putting the time in. Is there any unfinished business or new business to be considered at this time? Hearing none, I would declare the motion to adjourn the meeting. There will be a random drawing of door prizes tomorrow morning from those members who attended this evening or participated on the Facebook Live session. As a reminder, to get registered, if you joined us virtually, please text this number if you haven't already done so. 833-692-0554, and please text NWNR 2023. You'll receive a text back asking for your first and last name. We'll have a drawing tomorrow morning for 10 $250 bill credits and 20 $100 bill credits. We'll post the prize winners tomorrow on our Facebook page and also send out an email. We'd like to thank every one of you for joining us this evening for our 25th anniversary of our annual meeting of Northwest REC. This meeting stands adjourned. Stay healthy and drive safe. Thank you for coming.